we mentioned dividends a lot in many episodes, but we don't really practically break down how much do you actually get from dividends? How much money do you actually need to collect 100 grand in dividends per year?
Dividends are one of the ways you can make money from an investment. You're just getting cash back.
Jamaica withholds 15%, like a 15% tax on dividends. So whatever you make, that's taxed by 15%. So you get that 85%, the government takes the 15%. You need about $2 million Jamaican to actually get your 100 grand in dividends. And that's before the dividend tax. So that's what we'll be talking about today. Hi, Limit Breakers. Welcome back to the Limitless podcast. Joining us as always is your co-host, Dr. Matthew Preston. Hail up the people, and Matthew.
Hey guys, what's good?
Love that. Excellent. So today we'll be answering the age-old question. Joke, it's not age-old. But I was actually looking on different channels and so on, and we were just discussing internally, especially sometimes when we talk about stocks, and we stumbled upon the fact that we mentioned dividends a lot in many episodes, but we don't really practically break down how much do you actually get from dividends and how much money do you actually need to collect 100 grand in dividends per year. So that's what we'll be talking about today.
Wait, it's per year? I was going to say per month.
No, you weren't, bro.
No,
in
I
our
did
market,
the math.
You did the math?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Don's money. Well, we'll see. Let's see what Preston has to say. But yeah, let's jump right into it, Preston. Anything you want to say before we start?
I think that dividends are an important thing to understand as a person, because they are just one of the ways that I guess you can make money from an investment. You're just getting cash back. I think I've heard people think of it like compared to rent. So they're like, oh, if you have a house and then someone is paying you to stay in that part of the house or that house, you are getting, or you say cash flow, you're getting money that you can, deposit to your bank account, get a check, and you can do something with it. And then that thing that is giving you that money, creating that money, giving you that cash back, it is also supposed to grow in value, or it could grow in value. So basically you could buy it at the price you buy it at. You may end up being able to sell it at a higher price, whether in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, or maybe not even in your lifetime. It could be something that one of your siblings or one of your children or relatives, you could pass it down to them. And then when they need money or something, it's, still giving them money, and then it's still growing up in value. It's a good, I think it's a good thing that, dividends, we came up with the concept of dividends as people,
Yeah, that's true. That's very, very true. And I like the generational thought process that you have with dividends too. Preston gave like a quick example of what they are. They're just basically cash payments, or you can pay in other ways, but mainly cash payments that a company sends to its shareholders out of its profits. That's a very simplistic definition of dividends, and you can check out our whole dividend series that this will be added to, because we break down a lot of things with dividends. And so you also have something called the dividend yield. And how I think of all of this is, so the yield is actually a formula, right? It's the dividends that the company pays for the year, so the annual dividends, and then you divide that by the share price. Right? Well, the dividends per share. So let's say they're paying $1 for every share that you have. So, and you own 100 shares, your payout is $100, right? So you own 100 shares, you get 1 share per dividend, it's $100. That's your dividend. So you have the yield now is the dividends per share, which is the $1 per share, divided up by whatever the share price is. And we'll give you examples and we'll show you more practical stuff very soon, but just remember that. And so a way I used to think of it, maybe, if you're a tree hugger and you like trees, the tree is the stock. So you own your ownership in the business. And let's say this tree is like a Guinep tree, right? And the tree drops fruits every season, right? Every season, summertime, it's Guinep time, the tree drops fruits. And the fruits are the dividends. You own the Guinep tree, it's in your backyard. You own the stock, and then you get paid in dividends, which is the Guineps. And the yield, you can think of the yield as how much fruit do you get per year compared to how much you paid for the tree. That's a good way to think about it. So a
Mm-hmm.
tree, if that tree did cost $100, and it gives a certain amount, maybe $10 of fruit each year, you can think of the yield as almost like the fruit rate. So that's like
Mm-hmm.
a 10% fruit rate.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a pretty good way to think about it. Actually, I probably wouldn't have used Guinep. For
Yeah.
me, it'd probably be
What's your fruit?
maybe like an apple, like go to eat the apple. Yeah,
Okay,
so like an
fair.
apple
Yeah,
tree.
fair.
So I do like your example because it. I mean, how much does an apple tree cost?
I have
I
no
don't know.
idea. Maybe
But
like three
okay,
grand
well, to make it
or
simple,
like
let's say it
four
was
grand.
grand. Well, at some point it was probably
Okay.
$1,000. So you're like, okay, I have this tree, or I need some money on the side to, some expenses. Maybe I realize a lot of people around me, they like to buy apples or something like that. And yeah, you say, okay, let me buy the tree for the $1,000. So you spend $1,000, you water it. I guess the difference with the tree analogy versus the like with dividends, the whole watering of the tree and the sunlight and providing the thing to make what you are investing in worth
Mm-hmm.
more, that doesn't have to be done by you. It could be
Well, it
done
depends because you
by.
fully own the tree.
Uh-huh.
So, are
No,
you
hold
CEO
on.
of the tree too? Or do
No,
you operate in the business of the tree? Yes. You have to work. You have to
no. What
put in
I'm.
work.
Hold on.
But I
So
get what you mean. No, I get where
yeah,
you're
so it's
coming from.
like you are able to. Okay, I
With
feel like I should.
companies, it's more passive, meaning
Yeah,
you
because
just own the shares
uh-huh.
and the fruits come to you or the dividends come to you.
Yeah, I feel like I actually lost people. Hold on, let's go. A stock where you're buying a piece of a business, so it's you're breaking up that business into a piece, and you're saying, okay, I own part of that business, and they'd say, oh, it's risky because they're like, oh, this could happen. An earthquake could damage Trans Jamaica Highway, that Portmore Highway, or I don't know, it's another one that people talk about. But there's that risk. And it's like it could happen, but the same thing could happen with almost every other, I guess, way of making money. Because the farmer analogy, you could get hit there, real estate stuff could happen to your property, water damage, electrical issues, fires, and those can not wipe out your investment. They can knock it out completely, or they could just drop the value significantly.
Yeah. Um, I agree. I think part of the way I want this episode to also go is
Mm-hmm.
how do we actually make 100 grand though from dividends? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking in a year. So I don't know if you want to share the well, one thing I want to state first is, there's also a dividend tax. Jamaica withholds 15%, like a 15% tax on dividends. So whatever you make, that's taxed by 15%. So you get that 85%. The government takes the 15%.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you are supposed to get, let's use back the same example that I used. So it's $1, $1 Jamaican per share as a
Mm-hmm.
dividend, and you own 100 shares. So you're supposed to get 100 Jamaican dollars, but in reality, after the dividend tax and so on, you only receive 85 Jamaican dollars, and the
Mm-hmm.
government receives the other 15%. So that's the dividend tax in Jamaica. And why I said that is because Preston is going to share a table that I made. I don't know if you can share it, Preston, but this is my practical breakdown of how you can actually make this 100 grand. Because I
Mm-hmm.
see people drop YouTube videos on how they're making 100 grand, 150 grand a year, cough cough, Demetrius, um, in dividends and so on. Although Demetrius, I remember Demetrius's video. It was good. Rate that video, Demetrius. Big up yourself.
Yeah, you
We
guys should
actually
check
did an
out
episode with
his
him.
channel.
Yeah, you guys should check out his channel. A really good channel.
You can search Demetrius Fairman.
But in that episode, it wasn't just dividends. I think he also had a bond
Mm.
or two in there. But I'm
Mm.
just talking now. Pure equities, just stocks. That's all we're talking about, and dividends. Now, if you look on this table, I did this based on the yield, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is the yield is all the way to the left, and this is the yield that I have the yield to the left, and right next to it is the required capital. So this is the actual amount of money that you need to make this 100 grand. Now, if you're starting with a lower dividend yield, like 3%,
Mm-hmm.
and then I put that On the left-hand side, the first left two columns are, it's gross figures, meaning this doesn't include that 15% dividend tax. So if you actually wanted to look at what it would actually look like, what you would actually receive in your bank account, let's go to the right-hand side of this. So you have at a 2.55% yield, right? This is after the 15%. How much money you actually need is basically 4 million Jamaican dollars at that yield. Now of course, that's a lower yield, meaning if you owned a particular amount of stock, if you bought a stock at a particular price, and that's how much they're paying you at, meaning you're getting 2.55% of your money back, right? You need it's 3.9 million Jamaican dollars. Let's increase that to something like 5%. So there's a 5.1% that's there. You need almost 2 million Jamaican dollars. So even if it's like 5%, you still need a decent amount of JMD, and then you can increase it. But let's do this for simplicity. I think the figures are on the right are very, they're not as exact, or they're not rounded up. So let's use the left-hand side. This is before the dividend tax. So let's say, what's the highest yielding stock? I don't know if you can click stonks. There's a tab that I called stonks. This is some data I actually had to put in this table from My Money JA. And this is the current yield. This is the year-to-date yield, or the past 4 quarters yield, I should say. So these are the highest dividend payouts. These companies pay the highest amount per dividend, and so you'll see Cygnus USD at 9.3%. That's pretty decent. So Preston zooming in. We have Transjam actually at number 10. Well, you have Transjam USD at number 8 and Transjam JMD at number 10 at a 5.38% yield. So you have all of these companies that are paying a certain amount, and so on, right? If you actually now go back to the yield page, right? So I said a 5.3%. Let's say you're using a 5% gross dividend yield right now on this left-hand side of the table. You need about $2 million Jamaican to actually get your 100 grand in dividends. And if you wanted that, and that's before the dividend tax. After the dividend tax,
$100,000 per year.
Precisely, $100,000 in dividends per year. So dividends aren't cheap, are they? Well, it's one way to think of it. It's something that hit me when I just started investing, because people always say, buy companies that pay really good dividends and so on. And I'm like, yeah, in my head, that sounds good. Like, it sounds nice. But at the time when I just started investing, I only had 50 grand. I only had 50 grand in my bank account. So how much money would 50 grand actually get me on a Transjam if Transjam is paying 5% dividends per year? I don't think I would even you wouldn't see 10 grand. You wouldn't see 5 grand. Would you even see grand? I don't know. I'd have to do the math, but 50 grand? I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not good at math. But the point is, I don't necessarily think dividends matter for everybody, but it also depends on your goal. I mean, everyone invests for different reasons. Some people like the thought of just getting money in their bank account. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, where you get a surprise dividend or anything like that.
Yeah, I have, I think it was, let me see, was it the
It doesn't have
last
to
one
be
I remember
surprise, but
was Wigton.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened with Wigton?
I don't know. I just remember they had paid me a dividend, but I didn't remember, or I didn't know that they had paid me I didn't know that to expect it. I just looked in my bank account one day and I was like, whoa, like, why do I have money there? And then when I looked through the statement, it said, deposit from Wigton Energy. Well, I don't know if it said Wigton Wind Farm or Wigton Energy. So Wigton would be the company that owns a lot of wind turbines that produce energy and sell it to JPS. So they are producing energy that Jamaicans use at our homes.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it was like, whoa, I just got it. And yeah, I guess I was kind of happy. Something
Mm-hmm.
that I have been, I guess I kind of stole from someone. That person knows who they are. They told me about spending their dividends. So they said, hey, whenever they get a dividend, they will just spend it. And I was like, wow, because I guess sometimes when I got the dividends, I would maybe either buy stocks with it, or I would just say, well, let me just leave it there for now. And I guess to me, I was like, okay, if I need money, I'll just either sell stocks or, try to use some money from like my paycheck or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing that. So I got a dividend earlier this year, or it was like a set of dividends. I think the first one, let me see, I think the first one was like from the JSE, the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Like they
Mm-hmm.
themselves, the stock exchange that basically allows people to buy and sell shares, or buy and sell businesses. Um, you can actually, so companies can trade on it, or basically people can buy and sell the shares on for that company. So the company can move from being what you call private to public. Private is like, okay, only certain people can buy it. It's not very easy to buy. Public is like, okay, it's very easy to buy. Almost anyone can just go sign up and get an account and then buy a piece of the business. And yeah, I think the Jamaica Stock Exchange paid me a dividend. I also had, I think, Indis Pharma, which is one of the medication distributors in Jamaica. One of the, I guess they're probably somewhat, I don't know where they rank, but maybe like top 5 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? I think it was that. Did I get any more? I think it was those two. And then I remembered, what did I do with the dividend again? That dividend was that. Oh yes, my computer was failing, so it's been failing for a while. Anyone who has like a desktop probably knows this. That sometimes the RAM slots, which is what the RAM is basically what allows you to the computer to run, or yeah, it allows you to quickly run apps, I'd say, or do most. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, the RAM, or that thing that the computer uses, basically, the cards or the pieces were like breaking up or failing, and I knew, okay, I'm gonna eventually have to get a computer. And then I think I had 4 in the beginning, and then like 2 had failed, so I had the 2, but then the one of the others failed, so I only had 1 left, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to do it because I can't live without a functional computer. And I ended up upgrading my computer. So I ended up buying, I had to change the motherboard, which meant I had to change the processor, and then I had to get like RAM slots. And yeah, I was able to, the dividend helped me to do that. So that was nice, Do you have any stories you wanted to tell?
I mean, I don't think I have specific things that I've done with my dividend money because it just
Mm-hmm.
comes to my regular bank account. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't reinvest the cash. I kind of just
Mm-hmm.
have a set amount I put in stocks, let's say monthly. But I probably use that cash to buy food. I remember once I used a
Mm-hmm.
dividend payment to buy some Indian food.
Tamarind?
Yeah.
Tamarind's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, tamarind's good.
And that was
Singapore shrimp,
no. It was,
like
what was it that day? I
butter
don't know. I
chicken or
feel like I
something.
was no, I was trying something. I think it was like Zakuta chicken, and there was one with like Goan curry or something like that as well. I think
Mm-hmm.
because I was just like, all right, I can just experiment because this is money I never really expected to have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, can you share the screen one more time? Just one last thing to make it a little bit easier. I also had another column, another tab that speaks to the capital that you actually need to invest and what yield will get you your 100 grand. So even at 10%, this is a very simplistic way. You need $1 million with a 10% yield. In reality, you need a 11.76%. But yeah, with a 10% yield to get you your 100K. Firstly, the highest paying, if you look on the Stonks page, it's
Mm-hmm.
9.38%. Cygnus Credit Investment USD is 9.38%. So that means if you're actually looking for something on the JSE within the past year, you'd need at least $1 million in a stock. Their minimum you'd need is 1.25, I think. Hold on, let me see. If you had, how much money would you need? If you had let's say 1.25 million Jamaican in SCI USD, in Cygnus Credit Investment USD, that stock, then you could have made approximately actually, Cygnus is different because Cygnus isn't incorporated in Jamaica, is it? I think it's incorporated in St. Lucia. So
Or
they
the business
don't
isn't
have that
based
15.
there or
Yeah, the
established
business isn't
there.
based in Jamaica. It's based in, I think,
So
St.
the
Lucia, and they have
different
different
you're
tax rules. So they don't follow our Jamaican tax rules of that 15% dividend tax. So I believe the dividends are not taxed. And if they are, it's maybe like 1% or less. But I believe they're not taxed.
So
And so
it's
you'd
almost like
get that.
just like how we have income tax here. Income tax is how much here? 5%, right? But in some
Depends.
countries, well, oh yeah,
It
depending
depends
on
on your pay
your,
scale.
yeah, so some it's less. So some countries, they don't have an income tax. Some of them it's like 10%. So, okay, you make $100,000, but you would normally have to pay, if it was 10%, you'd pay the government of your country, and then they would, use that to help, develop the country, fix roads, build hospitals and stuff. You spend that 10,000, you'd then have 90,000 would be yours. So they'd be taking some of your money before you are giving it, and then they're going to invest that. It's because it's almost like a tax, but it is a fee or a rent for living in the country. Or a rent for making money in the country that specific way. And then certain countries will say, oh no, we want people to keep more of their pay, depending on, I guess, their finances or whatever. Like whoever is running the
Yeah,
country,
bro.
they'd say, oh, we want them to get less money, or we need to.
Hey, one thing is for sure in life. Two things are for certain: death and taxes. Yeah, man. The tax, man. I go collect. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to share. So it's just something I view as to, okay, if I really wanted to make 100 grand, how much money do I need to make? Would I be better off just getting capital gains? I mean, yes, but that's just my investment style. Investing is very personal, so it depends on your style as well. Because you can make some decent money. Like, hey, if I had 10 mil sitting down, 10 mil into Transjam at 5% would yield me what? That would yield me, what's that, bro? I can't math. I
Go
really
again?
can't math. That would be half a mil. If I had $10 million at Transjam, no, 5%. 5% would be
So they're paying you five hundred
interesting.
thousand dollars a year. You're saying? I mean, it's
So
10
I
million though.
wouldn't. Yeah, it is 10 mil. It is 10 mil.
Yeah.
But it's just something to think about, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that's just, it was just a thing I wanted to look through and say, all right, how much money if I need 100 grand from dividends alone, how much money do I really and truly need? And then what's a realistic stock to put that in? Because if you look at this this company list that you have right now, which one of these stocks would you have actually invested in? Would you have invested in any of them outside of, don't say Transjam and don't tell me Carreras?
So you're saying which
Because I feel like
ones
those are
would I buy now, or you're saying which ones have I
would
ever
you have
bought?
bought? Would you
Would
have
I have bought
bought
when?
like a year ago if you were to invest in dividends,
A
invest for
year, I'd
dividends?
say I'd probably buy Carreras.
Okay.
Um, Probably I bought Transjam. Probably some Indus Pharma. But it depends, I guess, how much. Hold on, how much money are you talking now?
Let's say you had a mil, but you're
Okay.
investing solely for dividends.
So I want. Hold on. So if I saw a stock that I thought could triple, but then the highest dividend stock I saw maybe going
Your
up by
priority is dividends. Your
50%.
priority is
Hold on,
dividends.
hold on. So you're saying if I saw a stock that I thought could triple in the value, so I buy it I put $1 million in, it's worth $3 million, I sell it. You're saying what you said is based on the typical amount that the highest company is paying under 10%. So even if it was 10%,
I'm
are
not
you really
understanding what
asking?
you're saying because I'm asking you if you were to buy a stock and your main reason for buying it, I'm not talking capital gains. So take capital gains out the equation. I'm talking dividends. Which one of these companies would you have bought? But you kind of answered my questions too.
Yeah.
You said you
No,
know
hold
about
on.
Carreras.
I guess the thing is, I was
You'd have.
thinking, like when you said, when you gave the amount of money, that's what
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking
Why
about, like
does
the
the amount of
ratio.
money matter?
Because for some of them, I feel like for all of these, you probably could have bought that amount. But
Yeah.
I would probably, if I was to put it in one, it'd probably be Carreras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that because of the upside of
Yeah.
the
People
capital
can.
gains as well.
I'm sure. Sure. Let's go with that.
That's not why. That's not why. Why else?
Yeah. Well, yes, what you're saying, but it's just that people are never gonna stop smoking. I was more thinking that,
That
like,
is true, Dr.
people.
Preston. That is very true.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys,
Seven.
let us know what you think of this kind of episode.
Oh
I
wait,
don't know if
you
Preston had
wanted me to
something.
stop?
No, no, no. You're going on.
Oh,
You're going on.
so I'd
Keep
probably
going.
buy. I'd probably put it all in Carreras.
Uh-huh.
Another one I would have considered. Dolphin Cove is another interesting one. You'd be buying. You said a year ago, so I'd be buying before the parent company bankruptcy news came out. So the same Dolphin Cove that runs. Well, yeah, I feel like a lot of people have probably at least heard of Dolphin Cove in Jamaica. Which one would you put it in? Did you say your answer? So you're gonna end the episode and you never give your answer?
Yeah, my answer is so I've already put money in one of these stocks. It was Transjam, and I already reaped dividends from it. So yeah, if I were to invest
So you
solely for
sold it?
dividends, though, I would. Yeah, I've sold it
Why?
twice this year.
Wait, so
I've
you
sold
sold
Transjam
Trans
twice this
Jamaica
year.
Highway, the person who runs the highway, the major
Yes,
high or the toll road between Kingston and Portmore. You sold that stock because
it's
everybody.
not just Kingston and Portmore, but yeah,
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's the main. Well, that's their main. That's the main way they make money, right?
true.
Like 90. Well, which other? Wait, which other? Well, I guess there are other parts. But you sold it?
Yeah, twice. But
But why?
remember, my aim wasn't dividends; it was more capital gains. You're
Uh-huh.
asking if I were to so if I were to buy a stock for dividends, there are a few things I'd have to look for in the stock first of all. So I'd have to look on how often do they pay dividends and what have their previous yields been, right? Because I'm looking for a good track record. Like I want the company to have paid dividends before, so that gives me a sign that they can do it and will possibly do it. You're also looking for more signs that they can pay these consistent dividends by I don't know. You have to think about cash flow, like how they're making money. Is it a lot of free cash that they're generating? Is it a cash business? You see, we're talking about Transjam and them dealing with the toll, right? Is the toll a cash business? Yes. You reach a toll booth, you pay the man some cash, you get back your change, you go. Or if it's the T tag or whatever, it's all cash and the transaction is instantaneously. In fact, they already have money on the thing. You just have to load it. So it's like a balance. It's almost like a bank account you have in the T tag. And you already put in your money. You've made your deposit, whatever. That's 5 grand, 10 grand, whatever. And then your balance gets smaller as you go through, but they already have the cash. Just like when you put money in the savings account, technically it's your money, but you've already given the bank money. So it's the bank's money, and the bank already invested or whatever they're doing with the money. But the numbers reflect on your account like it's your money. So I'm looking for companies that have, they deal with cash. They have a lot of free cash. Those are something. How often do they pay out? Is it regular? Meaning, is it quarterly? Is it semi-annually? Like how often have they paid out and how reliable are they as well? And yeah, you can look at other little things here and there, like some complex stuff like that I don't necessarily want to get into. But those are the major things I would look for. Those things specifically in the company, and then once it ticks all of those, you'll also look for. And this is me not looking for capital gains. But I'm also looking for capital gains that changes the ballpark completely. But yeah, those are the things I really and truly look for. So, and I knew Transjam would pay dividends. It wasn't really the reason I was looking at Transjam, but like Carreras is also a cash business. people buy and sell cigarettes. And so, that's another company I would have looked towards. It would have been nice that capital gains took, because in the past year, I think Carrier has gone up significantly. In the past year, I think they're trading at what, like $18 now, which is kind of insane. Because last year around this time they were. Let me check the charts. Last year, if I look at October 2024, they were $9.80 back in October of last
So
year.
from $10 to what? $18 now, you're saying?
That's
So it went up
92 cents.
80% about that.
Yeah.
So if you put 10 grand in.
Oh, 80, almost 90%. Yeah.
I guess. Okay.
$9 something to $18 today is, that's almost 100%. That's kind of crazy when you mention that. And look at how often they pay dividends. If you actually share your screen, you'll see, like, in fact, let me share my screen real quick. I know I don't usually share my screen. I'm sorry if it doesn't look great. Oh, my new browser won't allow me to.
What do you want to show exactly?
I'm showing it. So you can see these. This is the dividend consideration meeting, record date, payment date. Happens again next quarter. You can see it. Like how regular is this company paying dividends?
It's every few
they
months.
pay dividends. Yeah, this looks like almost every quarter. Yeah,
or 4 times a year. Yeah.
So when you look at something like that, you start to think, hey, this company has been paying significant dividends. And look at the stock price. As I said, a year ago, this is October 7, 2024, it was $9.92. Has gone up significantly now to $18.10. So, yeah, Kura's definitely is one of the companies that I would have been watching as well. There are a few others as well, but, those are the top dividend earners. So, yeah.
I think even this will be the last story. I don't know if I told you about the first time I got a ticket. It was like
No.
2 months ago.
Oh, that sounds very familiar. Yeah, I think so. What were you doing? You're speeding?
No.
Yeah, you don't speed.
Yeah, I was. What was I doing? Like it was another set of dividends I got a bit after, I guess, the first set. I'm trying to remember when. Would have been September, I think. September or August. And I got the dividend. I was like, okay, what am I gonna do with it? And I was thinking of some different stuff to buy. And I wanted to get this reading light. And I was like, okay, the reading light costs this much. And then I was like, okay, what else should I do with the money? I was like, I should put on a games night. Yeah, I used the dividend to help pay for that. And then I was supposed to buy the light, but then I think it was the night after I had left the supermarket buying the stuff for the games night. I think you had sent me a message after. I think I'd sent you a picture to say, oh, is this good? Like, is this enough stuff? And then I was like, oh, was it? I looked at the phone. It was like on the seat, and I was like, okay, let me look at it. I was parked. Or no, I wasn't parked, but like it was a red light. So the car had stopped. I was like, oh, let me look at this. And then, a policeman saw me. So I was like, Jano. So I ended up having to. So dividend ended up helping to cover that. But I didn't end up getting to. Well, I delayed the light payment.
Tickets. I hate paying tickets, man.
At least it's easy now. Like you can do it online.
Yeah, but the message you get at the end of that, it says, thank you for your contribution to national security or something like that. I don't remember what it says, or nation development or something like that. Yeah, after you pay the ticket, that's like the message. And I'm like, yo, you just tell me about my parts, brethren. Like, nah. It's so, like, I wish it wasn't that. Like, I don't know. It's just like a slap in the face whenever I see that message. I sound like I pay tickets often, but I don't. I promise, guys, I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I don't know. I found
my apologies.
Funny. I was just like, well, at least it was funny that it basically covered the dividend, basically covered dividends, covered the ticket, and just about as much. I think almost exactly for the games. Like, nice. I don't know. I took it as a sign. I was like, Jano.
But I did end up buying dividends.
I did end up buying the light eventually, but I just waited. And in some ways, maybe it was the right thing, because I think I change the light that I was initially going to buy. I mean, I just got this one not that long ago. So far, it's pretty good. So I guess we'll see how that goes.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, something else that TransJam taught me, bro, there was that catalyst where I think you'd call it a restructuring in finance terms, but basically it was weird because it was like the company, they used to pay someone to do some work for them, and they're paying them so much money that they're like, wait, if we just buy that company, we make enough money on our own that we could just buy you, borrow some money, buy you, or just buy you with the amount of money we have. And instead of having to pay you $10 million a year, I'm now earning $15 million a year or $20 million. Or maybe the first year I earned 10 million, but then after that next year, it's like it was such a good buy. The lesson was, I remembered when they had initially announced that they were going to do it, that they had plans to do that thing, right? I remembered the stock price never really moved much. And at first I was like, well, I didn't really understand what it meant. And then when I started doing the research, started reading articles and stuff, it's like the CEO or the guy who ran the company was literally telling you, so you can go on the website and look and say, okay, the expenses or the money that they have to, the expenses of the business, just like anybody has expenses, you have to buy this, you have to buy this. Expenses, it told you how much the expenses were. Say it's like 30 million US, and they're saying, oh, when we buy this, we think it could half or something like that. And you could actually just work out exactly like how much more money they could make. And I was like reading it, and I was just like, I remember there was a day where I read it and it like clicked to me, and I was just like, why is no one talking about this? And I was like shocked. I remember like calling, I think I had called my girlfriend at the time, and then I think I don't know if I had called you. And I think I was also called, I don't know if I got through to you. I think I also even called Shaq. And it's like I was calling him, and I was like, yo, I laid it out. I laid out the play, and I was like, dog, this is crazy. Like, why are we not jumping in on this? And he was like, I don't think he basically, he wasn't confident in it. So I like went to him and I was like, yo, please, I wanted someone to stress test it, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, am I in a different universe? Like, this is insane. Like it wasn't even something like there was a low chance of it going through. They already had the money. It was a signed deal. It was
in fact, what they said was they would buy half of it, and then they had the option to buy the whole of it. Yeah, there is that what they call a call
like
option. So it's like
payment,
the option. Yeah, it's like
saying,
I could buy half now and I can buy the rest later. But my intention is to buy the whole company.
You're basically buying it in 2 payments.
Yeah, you're buying it in 2 payments. And I just thought that was brilliant. I was just like, money. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought it was, I agree. Like that sentiment, I don't know, man. Like sometimes you find these diamonds in the rough and you're like, yo, am I seeing doubles here? Why is nobody else seeing this?
That's not the only lesson. I think the real lesson that I felt I learned from that was that, so I went to him with that, and it was like when I told him and he wasn't, I think it was almost like I wanted him to kind of see it, or give, like, if my friends are also seeing it,
like,
it's like
validated.
I'm like, okay, it's validating. So it was almost like I was hoping like, yo, someone else is going to see this. So it's not like I'm crazy, because I feel like sometimes I'll just have like a crazy idea, and then I go to someone and I'm like, yo, this is my idea. And then, I talk it out, and then they're just like, that's foolishness, what? So it's like I was like, okay, am I seeing this right? Because I was double checking, triple checking, everywhere was saying it, and I was just like, this is game changing. This is a big deal, but no one was talking about it, or I wasn't seeing anything. Or so I went to him, and then he wasn't very ecstatic about it, and I think it even kind of made me second guess myself, and I was like, oh damn, maybe I shouldn't, because like I could still. And one of the worst parts is like that was something that you could get a lot of units of, so it's like, oh, it wasn't something where you're struggling to get, you could buy as much as you want, basically as much money as you had, most people could probably buy. And I think for me, my moment was realizing that I need to trust myself. So it's almost like a good thing. Like if I do the work, right, and I come out with a thesis or an idea, and I'm like, hey, I think this is what's going to happen, and I have my reasons to support it. If I tell someone about it, in some ways they should disagree with me, or I should almost sound delusional. Like, people talk about, oh, if you want to be successful, you need to be a little delusional, because sometimes when you go to people with ideas, they'll be like, what? That's ridiculous. Like I remembered, I don't even remember this, but there was a point a few years ago where you had, I think it was at one of the this was by Summit or the old Knutsford Court Hotel. You had an idea. You were saying, okay, we should, I think Jermaine was there, Jermaine McDonald, and we were talking about revenue targets for the business. And I think you had set a number and you were like, you know what, we're going to do this year. But that was like really early when, you know, we had no business experience or barely any
we had
business
no money.
experience. We didn't understand what to do, or, you know, we were very early. You know, we have had to make a lot of mistakes along the way to learn. But I remember you told the person, you were like, you know, we're going to hit this. And you said the number, right? And I remembered someone at the time who had heard it. They were like, no, like, what? That's ridiculous. Like, why is Thaon? Someone told me like, oh, why is Thaon telling, he's even saying that that's not going to happen. Like it was crazy to them, right? They're like, this guy's crazy. What the heck? Shut him up. That's foolishness. Do not tell people that. That's garbage. And we didn't hit it that year, but we did hit it.
Yeah, we did hit it.
That's the thing. So it sounded delusional, but now you look at that and you're like, yeah, that was easy. Like,
but okay, I am delusional.
The next one. Yeah,
I'm
saying that's almost
delusional.
like a good thing. You know?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the circumstance. But
yeah, it depends on the circumstances.
You
but
need
I'm saying like
you need a bit of that.
Yeah, you need to be a little touched.
A little delulu.
Yeah. Is that what the people delulu?
Yeah, that's what the Gen Z say. I speak fluent TikTok.
Which one is Gen Z?
We're technically Gen Z, by the way.
Are we? What? Which one is Gen Z?
Yeah, you are definitely in the Gen Z category. Yeah, I guess you just realized. But you need
like, that was my lesson,
that.
I guess. It was like, yo, you have to believe in yourself. You
believe.
Yeah, it's so weird, you know, because like with like investing, sometimes when you have, it's like, say you have like an idea, like, and you kind of want to act fast, so it's like an opportunity. So it's like, oh, a stock is crashing or a stock is flying, and you maybe own shares, and you're like, okay, should I be buying more or should I be selling, or selling piece, buying some? You know, it's weird because sometimes you're gonna have to make a quick decision. You know, it's like a in the moment decision where you're like, hey, I'm not gonna have days and days to think about this. I only have half an hour, 5 minutes. You know, sometimes like that can be, if you're doing certain things and if you're really serious about this, that could be, you know, a decision you may want to make sometimes. Like ideally, you do want to be thinking about stuff, but sometimes if something's just crashing like that, you know, you just say, yo, buy it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's like something I've been working on in terms of prioritization. You know, it's like, I remember just 2 or 3 weeks ago, did a play, and I remembered what helped me to make it work was I did guess it was like I double checked something or triple checked it. So I had been building, I guess you call like doing my research and whatever. And I was like, okay, I think this is it. But it's like I knew that I wanted to put more time into it because there were other things I just wanted to think about. I was like, okay, I think about it this way, but what if this isn't the case? I need to double check this or take a break and then come back with like a different mindset, maybe more rested, maybe learning something new. And then it's like I approach it differently. And then I remember what I did the first time, came out with an idea. Then I checked it again. And then I think I checked it, I think it was like a day before or 2 days before, but I kept, you know, thinking, okay, I need to prioritize this. This is very important. Yes, I have these other things, but this is like the most important thing. I was like trying to ask myself the question. I literally wrote, you know, I told you I've been using the books. I literally took out the book and was like just writing out the different questions. I didn't have access to my computer then. I needed my computer to do this, but I was like, okay, I don't like to use my phone to, I guess, create or stuff like that. So I've been using the book and I was just writing it out. I was like writing out the questions, like, okay, what are the questions I really need to ask? So it's like I'd write out these 10 questions, and sometimes I'm like, I'm writing these out and I'm saying they're important, but like only this first one or this first and this third one is the most important. So let me focus there. And it's like, oh, I tear it up, crumple it up, bam, go again. And then I think that really helped because it was like I was able to focus in, and I used some downtime because that was when I was taking a Knutsford back from, remember I told you that one of our friends got married? Yeah, so I was like, okay, I have some time there. Let me try to focus on that. But yeah, that was just my little rambling. So treat yourself with your dividends.
Treat yourself with your dividends. Anyways, guys, if you like this kind of episode, let us know in the comments below. and let us know which stocks you like in terms of what are the stocks you're looking for in terms of dividends. Like, are there any dividends that, or any companies that pay really attractive dividends that you're like, or that you're in currently? Leave a comment below. Please like, share, subscribe, and just letting you guys know you should stay limitless. Peace.